We've put together a list of our 5 favorite national parks. Our travels have brought us all over North America and to many of these parks. Some of them we just can't stop returning to. Many of the parks make the list because of the overall experience and the variation that can be found within one place. At number 5, Mount Rainier. At over 14,400 feet, Rainier towers in the sky. Over 25 glaciers blanket the top of this dramatic peak. On a clear day, the view is truly unforgettable, although it's not easy to see because it's often covered with its own cloud system. It's located amongst some of the most beautiful scenic alpine terrain that's characteristic of the Cascade mountain range system. Hikes both in and around the park award amazing views of Mount Rainier. And it's not just a mountain. It's an over 14,000-foot active volcano. Imagine walking on a trail with the glacier-capped Mount Rainier towering in the sky around you, walking through alpine meadows, wildflowers everywhere, and suddenly a family of goats hops down the rocks and across this trail with their babies. You breathe in the fresh mountain air. This was literally our experience hiking around Mount Rainier. One region of the park is even called Paradise, rightfully so. And that's why Mount Rainier makes our list. Coming in at number 4, the North Cascades. If you've ever stood and looked at those blue-green waters of Diablo Lake, you'd know why this park makes the list. Similar to the picturesque glacial lakes that dot British Columbia, there are many lakes dispersed throughout the scenic alpine forest and glacier-top mountains of the Cascade Range. They are reintroducing grizzly bear populations here, and there's the chance of seeing wolverines, and other wildlife throughout the Cascades and the park system. It is one of the first places we hiked together. We hiked up with amazing view, 360 degrees of mountains surrounding, glacier-capped peaks, including Glacier Peak. And on our way down, we even had the rare opportunity to see a wolverine on this hike. And we figured we'd truly found paradise here, which is why we later got engaged here and even married at this same spot in the North Cascades, making it extra special for us and giving it the number 4 spot in our list. Number 3, Olympic National Park. Found in the state of Washington, this park has great variation in terrain. You can be on a coastline beach and quickly find yourself on top of tall mountains. The tallest mountain in the park is around 8,000 feet, and that's Mount Olympus, which is capped by glaciers, making it a dramatic and beautiful sight. The park also contains some very special old-growth forests, and it is one of the only places where you can find yourself in a temperate rainforest. Yes, I said it, a rainforest in North America. There's a lot of hiking opportunities, and the views seem endless. We hiked just outside the park, and we could actually see Mount Rainier from this park, as well as the Pacific Ocean. We found ourselves at a high point camping spot where we could see both the coast, the Pacific Ocean, and the Cascade Mountains in the distance, as well as forest, for it seemed like as far as we could see. Wildlife are not quite as abundant as some of our top parks, but you do have the opportunity to see things like black bears and mountain goats, which actually aren't native to the park, but that's another story. And you could see whales off of the coast. We consider this park somewhat underrated. It doesn't get quite the crowds that some of the more popular parks get, but with this variation in terrain and all of the great opportunities and views, it makes this park really special. It's a bit harder to access, which adds to the special opportunities in this park. Taking the number 2 spot on our list is Yellowstone National Park. And this is probably a lot of folks' favorite national park. It's also one of the most visited national parks, but for good reason. This park contains an amazing mix of geological features, ecological features, and the surrounding local terrain is a sight to see. It is our first national park in the U.S., and it's fairly large at 2 million acres. The park contains canyons, waterfalls, and if you see the park in different seasons, it's like a total different experience. We saw the park in winter, and it was amazing. There were less crowds, and the snow all over was sparkling, and it just made such a beautiful terrain to see. And then there were wolves running across the landscape, chasing bison, and it was just something out of a wildlife footage that you would see. You can also see grizzly bears in the park, one of the few places in the United States, in the continental United States, that is, that you can see grizzly bears, which is a great experience, as well as other fun critters like otters. I saw my first otter in Yellowstone National Park. There's also the amazing geology in the park, aside from the wildlife. It's a geology buff's dream. With all the geothermal features throughout the park, it's an incredible sight to see a bison and a wolf walking around with geysers going off in the background. Imagine it. We watched a sunset in what's called the Norris Geyser Basin. And we watched the sunset here, and the colors of the landscape were just incredible. Purples and oranges of the sunset reflecting off the water. It was one of the most unforgettable sunsets that we've ever experienced. Thanks to the fact that it is considered a supervolcano, it is a sight to see and a very unique experience. It's actually technically a hot spot, which not a place to find Wi-Fi. Actually, a mantle plume hotspot where a huge pocket of magma churns below Earth's surface under your feet as you walk around the park. That makes it a pretty special place. The only thing is, it is a rather crowded park, as I mentioned before, and this gets a little bit in the way of the experience. Sometimes seeing the wildlife with all the crowds of people makes it kind of like a zoo or wildlife safari experience and takes away a little from the park experience. And so, with that, it gets the number 2 spot on our list. And taking the number 1 spot on our list of favorite national parks is Wrangell-St. Elias. This park is found in Alaska. It has 9 of the 16 highest peaks in the U.S. It's over 13 million acres in itself, which is 6 times the size of Yellowstone. It contains many young volcanoes as a result of the Pacific and North American plates colliding about 5 million years ago. It includes Mount Wrangell, which is an over 14,000-foot active volcano. It also includes Mount St. Elias, which is an over 18,000-foot mountain. It's the second highest mountain in the United States, second only to Denali. In addition to the mountains, the landscape is covered in glaciers. And It contains some of the most amazing wildlife experiences and wilderness landscapes you can experience in North America. Imagine it, backpacking miles and miles into wilderness, crossing rivers, seeing grizzly bears and giant moose on the horizon. The days are very long in the summer here. If there's a paradise on earth, we feel it that it's definitely here. But we're not the only ones that think so, because it is an international World Heritage Site. In combination with the Wrangell-St. Elias Park in Alaska and its adjacent parks found in Yukon, which is Kluane National Park, and several parks adjacent to that in British Columbia, the entire area encompasses over 24 million acres, making it one of the largest protected ecosystems on the planet. And that makes it a very special place to us, and why it gets the #1 spot on our list of top national parks. Hey guys, if you liked that video, do us a favor, hit that like button.
And if you want to follow on our crazy journey, hit that subscribe button.
See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for supporting us.